According to the Conference Board's Christmas spending survey, Americans will spend $44 billion on Christmas gifts this year, an average of $348 per household. While sizable, this number doesn't include all the trappings of the holiday: ornaments and trees, wrapping paper and bows, Christmas crackers and Christmas pudding, not to mention the cost of driving somewhere snowy to celebrate Christmas with the relatives, and the cost of flying somewhere warm to recover. Even if the total cost of celebrating Christmas tops $100 billion, this is just the tip of the iceberg. According to Paul Hawken's book titled Natural Capitalism, 99% of the total material flow in North America, the stuff we harvest, mine, process, and transport, winds up in a landfill or recycling plant within 6 months. Put differently, only 1% of the stuff we make remains in use 6 months after its sale. Does this mean that 99% of the gifts you find under the Christmas tree will end up in a Pennsylvania landfill by June? Not exactly. Hawkins' 1% materials efficiency, as he calls it, takes into consideration not only the end products, toys, books, games, iPhones, neckties, but everything it took to make them. The gloves used by the woman who checked the circuit board on your Xbox 360, for example, or the container that held the ink used to print the packaging of your Elf on a Shelf, or the chainsaw blade used to fell the tree that became the paper in your New Best Recipes cookbook. There's a lot more stuff under your Christmas tree than meets the eye. Nearly 100 times more stuff. I'm not suggesting that we stop buying Christmas gifts for people we love. I'm not even suggesting that we reduce the volume of gifts, though I think that occasionally we get carried away in our gift-giving enthusiasm. My point is that the earth and its people have invested a lot of materials, energy, and labor into your gifts, regardless of how much or how little you paid for them. As you decide on gifts, respect the global efforts that made them possible. And besides, the gifts you give are a symbol of your love, not the substance of it. At its heart, Christmas is about the gift of love in human form, not the gift of things in package form. According to the Christian New Testament, the story of Christmas had nothing to do with colorfully trimmed trees or brightly wrapped presents or lovingly prepared family dinners. Nor did it have anything to do with the birth of a child in the usual sense. The angel who appeared to the shepherds stated the meaning of the occasion simply. "I bring you good news of a great joy for all the people," the angel proclaimed. "For unto you is born this day in the city of David," what? A baby? No. Babies are born every night of the year. Each child is special, but we do not celebrate Christmas every time a child is born. Unto you is born a king. No. Although many of Jesus' contemporaries hoped he would grow up to lead the Jews to overthrow their Roman overlords. Unto you is born a prophet. No. Prophets were plentiful in those days. In the angel's words, "Unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior." Christmas is about the coming of a Savior. This is an important event, of course, only if a Savior is what you need. And it is an especially important event only if you need a Savior badly. As Unitarian Universalists, we reject the view that an original sin in the Garden of Eden damned humanity forever and thus required God to descend in human form to redeem us. Nonetheless, we too need a Savior sometimes, not to save our souls for eternity, but to redeem our lives here and now. We need salvation from despair or failure or greed or anger or loneliness or grief or selfishness. In the hour of our need, we put our faith in what the poet William Blake calls the human form of love divine. For us, the gifts we give and receive at Christmas symbolize our belief that love can save us too. One of my favorite holiday videos is an hour-long film primarily for children about the making of Handel's Messiah. While the basic story depicted by the film is true, many of the details are fictional. The film is titled Handel's Last Chance. I highly recommend it as a stocking stuffer for anyone who's over about 6 years old. As the film relates, the composer George Friedrich Handel spent much of his career composing music to please his critics rather than paying attention to the music within his own heart. The result satisfies neither Handel nor his critics. He ends up deeply in debt, hounded by his creditors. At wit's end, Handel accepts an invitation to sail to Dublin to compose a new oratorio to be performed at Dublin's finest cathedral, St. Patrick's. It is, by Handel's own admission, perhaps his last chance to redeem himself, musically and financially. What he finds when he arrives in Dublin is not promising. "Even at this point in my doomed career," he laments, "I never thought the end of the line could be so desolate." Part of his despair comes from hearing the cathedral choir, whose sound he likens to a bunch of mewling alley cats. As Handel composes at a furious pace to finish the oratorio on time — he actually wrote it in 24 days — he also tries to find some singers who can stay on key. Prospects are not good, however, especially in the alto section.